You ever wonder why they keep pushing you? Why they keep testing your limits, seeing how far they can go before you snap? It's not because they think you're weak. No, it's because they need you to be weak. They need you to be predictable, controllable, easy to break. Because the moment you stop being that, the moment you stop playing their little game, the entire house of cards they built comes crashing down. And that scares them more than anything. They don't fear your anger. They don't fear your pain. What they fear is what comes after. When the anger settles, when the pain turns into something else, something sharper, something colder, they watch you. Oh, they pretend not to, but they do. Every move you make, every breath you take, they're waiting. Waiting for the moment you hesitate, the moment you look back, the moment you second guess yourself. Because that's when they sink their claws in. That's when they tighten the leash they've wrapped around your neck for so long. The one you didn't even realize was there until you tried to breathe on your own. And the moment you struggle, the moment you resist, they panic. Because suddenly they're not in control anymore. Suddenly you are. And that is their worst nightmare. See, people like them, they build their power on illusions, on whispers and shadows and pretty little lies they tell themselves to sleep at night. They make you believe that without them, you are nothing, that you need their validation, their acceptance, their approval. But let me tell you something, you don't. You never did. They need you. They need someone to prop them up, to play their game, to keep the charade going. Without you, they are nothing. Without you, they have no one to step on, no one to use, no one to drain dry. And when they realize that you figured it out, oh, they panic. They scramble. They try to rewrite the story, to paint themselves as the victims, to convince you that you're the villain. And maybe you are. Maybe you have to be. Because in a world like this, there is no room for softness, no room for mercy. Mercy is what gets you torn apart. Mercy is what makes them think they can come back, that they can sink their teeth into you just one more time. Number, not anymore. You don't play their game. Not now, not ever again. You let them drown in the silence you leave behind. Let them choke on the absence of you. Because that silence, that's the sound of their power crumbling. That's the sound of their lies falling apart. That's the sound of them realizing that for the first time in their miserable, pathetic lives, they have lost. You don't owe them anything. Not your kindness, not your forgiveness, not your time. They had their chances, they had their opportunities to be something more, to be better. And what did they do? They spat on them. They laughed in your face, took everything you gave and asked for more. That's what people like them do. They take and take and take until there is nothing left of you. Until you're just a hollow shell, a ghost of who you used to be. But you're not that ghost, not anymore. You're something else now, something they can't touch, something they can't break. And oh, they'll try. They'll whisper in your ear, remind you of the good times, of the laughter, of the promises they never kept. They'll try to pull you back, to wrap you in their lies again, to make you believe that maybe just maybe, they've changed. But you know better, don't you? You know that people like them don't change. They just get better at pretending. And you're done pretending. You see them for what they are now. You see the rot beneath their smiles, the hunger in their eyes, the emptiness in their souls. And you walk away, not because you're weak, but because you finally understand your own strength. They'll say you're heartless, that you're cruel, that you've become cold, bitter, broken, good. Let them say it. Let them believe it. Because the truth is that you've never been more whole, never been more alive, never been more free. And they'll still be there, stuck in their little games, clinging to the ruins of the world they built on the backs of people like you. Let them rot in it. Let them drown in it. And you keep moving. Keep rising. Keep becoming everything they never wanted you to be. Because that is the greatest revenge of all. They're watching, always watching, pretending they don't care, pretending your absence means nothing, but you know better. You always have. You see the way their laughter falters when your name comes up, the way their smiles tighten, the way their voices drop just a little lower, as if speaking too loudly might summon something they can't control. They say they've moved on, that you were just a passing moment, a footnote in their story. Lies. You are the shadow in the corner of their eye, the ghost in their dreams, the weight they can't shake no matter how hard they try. And oh, they try. They fill their days with noise, with faces, with empty distractions. But in the silence, in the moments between the chaos, you are there, lingering, unshakable, a reminder of everything they lost, everything they threw away. But don't mistake that for regret. No, don't regret. Not in the way you'd hope. They don't miss you. They miss what you gave them. They miss the way you made them feel important, the way you lifted them up, the way you poured yourself out just to keep them full. That's what they mourn, not you. Never you. Just the version of themselves they got to be when you were around. And that's the truth, isn't it? They never saw you, never really knew you. To them, you were a reflection, a convenient shape they could mold to fit their needs. And when you stopped fitting, when you started seeing them for what they really were, that's when they turned. That's when the smiles sharpened into sneers, when the warmth curdled into something colder, something cruel. Because they never wanted you to be real. They wanted you to be useful. And now you are neither. Now you are something they cannot touch, cannot shape, cannot bend to their will. And that terrifies them. Because if you could walk away, if you could break free, then what does that say about them? That all their power, all their control, all their whispered manipulations, none of it was ever real. That they were never as untouchable as they believed. that the only reason they ever had control was because you let them. And now that you don't, now that you see them for what they are nothing. Just hollow things grasping at shadows, desperate to find someone else to fill the void you left behind. But that's not your concern, not anymore. Let them claw, let them reach, let them search for something that will never come. Let them drown in the silence they never thought they'd have to face. Because you have better things to do. You have a future to build, a fire to stoke, a self to reclaim. And it won't be easy. No, nothing about this will be easy. The past does not let go so cleanly. It lingers, it waits. It whispers in the dark, trying to pull you back, trying to convince you that maybe, just maybe, it wasn't so bad. Maybe you imagined the pain. Maybe you overreacted. Maybe you were the problem all along. Unmut, you know the truth. You always have. You remember the way they looked at you when they thought you weren't watching. The way their words cut just a little too deep. The way their love, if you could even call it, that felt more like a leash than an embrace. And no amount of nostalgia, no amount of pretty little memories will ever change that, because the past is a liar. It only shows you what you want to see. Only plays the highlights, never the full story. But you remember the full story? You remember every crack, every betrayal, every moment you swallowed your own pain just to keep the peace. And now it's their turn to choke on the quiet. Minso, keep walking. Keep moving forward. Don't look back. Not for them. Not for the ghosts they left behind. You have spent enough time in the ruins, enough time sifting through the ashes of something that was never meant to last. Let it burn. Let it crumble. And when they come back, and oh, they will come back, because people like them always down when they reach for you with shaking hands and empty promises. You will not be there. Not this time. Not ever again. Because this is your story now. And they are nothing but a footnote, a faded echo of a life you no longer live. And that is the real power. Not revenge, not rage, just indifference. Just the knowledge that you don't need them, that you never did. And that is what will haunt them more than anything. Munso, let them wonder. Let them lie awake at night, staring at the ceiling, asking themselves where it all went wrong. Let them feel the weight of your absence, the coldness of a world where they no longer matter. And you go on, you thrive, you rise, and you never ever look back. They don't know it yet, but they've already lost. Not in some dramatic, fiery explosion, not in some grand spectacle where they finally see the error of their ways. No, that would be too easy. That would give them closure, an ending, a reason to move on. And they don't deserve that. People like them, they don't deserve neat endings wrapped up with a bow. They deserve exactly what they gave in certainty, silence, the endless gnawing question of what went wrong. Let them sit with it, Let them pick apart every interaction, every word, trying to decipher the moment they lost you. They won't find it, because it wasn't a single moment, it was all of them. Every single one. A slow, steady erosion of your patience, your love, your willingness to excuse the inexcusable. It wasn't a choice, it was inevitability. A consequence they never saw coming, because they never thought it could happen to them. They thought you'd always be there, that no matter how much they took, no matter how much they twisted the knife, you'd stay. That you'd keep coming back, keep proving yourself, keep playing their game. But they underestimated you. They always did. They saw your kindness as weakness, your patience as naivety. They thought you were easy, thought you were just another person desperate for their approval, their attention, their scraps of affection. But they were wrong, because kindness is not weakness, patience is not naivety, and love is not a leash. You know that now. You see the game for what it was. And the moment you stopped playing, the moment you walked away, the whole illusion fell apart. That's what they can't stand. It's not just that you left. It's that you left without giving them a reason. Without giving them something to hold on to. Something to twist in their favor. Something to make them the victim. You didn't scream, didn't beg, didn't give them the satisfaction of seeing you hurt. And that is what drives them insane. Because if you had made a scene, if you had fallen apart, at least then they could tell themselves they mattered. At least then they could convince themselves they had power over you. But silence, indifference, that is the one thing they don't know how to fight. So let them wonder, let them spin their little stories, paint you as the villain, rewrite history to make themselves feel better. None of it matters. Because deep down, where they refuse to look, they know. They know what they did, they know why you left. And no matter how many lies they tell, no matter how many masks they wear, they will never escape that truth. It will follow them, cling to them, haunt them in ways they never imagined. That's the price they pay. Not for hurting you, no, that's too simple. That's too easy. The real price is losing you. The real price is knowing that they will never find another you. That no matter how many replacements they try to shove into the empty space you left behind, it won't be the same. It will never be the same. Because you were real. And that is rare. That is once in a lifetime. And they threw it away. So let them feel it. Let them drown in it. You don't have to do a damn thing. Just keep moving, keep building, keep becoming everything they said you couldn't be. And when they finally realize what they lost, when the weight of it all finally settles in their chest like a stone they can't shake, they'll look for you and they won't find you. That is justice. That is balance. That is the ending they never saw coming. And you don't need to watch it happen. You don't need to check in to see if they regret it, to wonder if they finally understand. Because it's not about them anymore. It never was. It's about you, your freedom, your future, your story. And that story, it's just beginning. You've spent too much time in the past, too much time carrying their weight, letting their voices echo in your head like they still have a place there, but they don't, not anymore. You feel it, don't you? That shift, that unraveling, that moment when you realize that the only thing keeping you chained to them was you, not them, not their words, not their hollow apologies or their carefully constructed guilt trips, just you. Holding on to the idea of them, the version of them you thought existed, the person you wished they had been. But that version, that was never real. That was just a story you told yourself, a dream you kept trying to wake up into, only to find the nightmare waiting for you instead. And now you're awake. Now you see them clearly. The way they only reached for you when they needed something. The way they kept you around as an option, a backup plan, a comfortable little safety net they could fall into whenever the real world got too hard. But you're not a safety net. You're not a convenient place to land when their choices come back to haunt them. You were never meant to be a crutch for their broken ego, a mirror reflecting only the parts of themselves they wanted to see. You were not their cure. You were never their cure. And now you are nothing to them. And that is exactly how it should be. But they will try. Oh, you know they will. People like them always do. Because they don't miss you, not really. They miss control. They miss the feeling of knowing that whenever they needed attention, validation, power, you would be there waiting, willing to give just a little more of yourself in the hopes that this time, maybe this time, they would finally see you. But they never did, and they never will, because people like them don't see others. They see reflections, tools, extensions of themselves. You were never a person to them. You were a means to an end, but not anymore. Now, they'll have to face themselves without you there to soften the edges. Now, they'll have to sit with the emptiness, the silence, the nothingness that follows when they reach out and find only air. And it will eat at them. It will gnaw at their carefully constructed world, shaking the foundation they built on your patience, your forgiveness, your endless willingness to believe in them. 'Cause that was their greatest trick, wasn't it? Making you believe in them. Making you think that if you just gave a little more, if you just tried a little harder, they would become the person you needed them to be. But they won't. They never would have. And deep down, you've always known that. And that's why they'll hate you now. Not because you hurt them, not because you wronged them, but because you walked away, because you stopped playing their game, because you saw them, truly saw them, and decided you wanted no part of it. That is what they can't stand. Not losing you, losing the ability to twist your kindness into obligation, your love into servitude, your presence into something they could take for granted. And oh, they will rage, they will rewrite the story, they will tell themselves, tell others, that you were the problem, that you changed, you became cold, bitter, cruel, because that is the only way they can justify losing you. That is the only way they can make sense of the fact that for the first time, they were the ones left behind. Let them scream into the void. Let them paint you as the villain in their tragic little story. It doesn't matter. Because the truth is something they will never be able to outrun. The truth is what keeps them awake at night, staring at the ceiling, replaying every moment, every choice, every mistake they pretended didn't matter. The truth is that they lost something real, something rare, something they will never find again. And you don't have to do a thing. You don't have to seek revenge. You don't have to prove anything. The greatest justice, the most perfect retribution is simply this living, thriving, becoming something they can never touch again. Because the moment you stop needing them, stop waiting for them, stop allowing them to exist in your mind like they still have a claim to you, that is the moment you win. That is the moment you become untouchable. So let them talk. Let them whisper. Let them reach out, grasping at the empty space where you used to be. Let them wonder why their world feels just a little smaller, a little colder, a little more hollow without you in it. Let them realize, slowly, painfully, that they weren't nearly as important as they thought they were. And when they finally understand, when it finally hits them, that you are gone and never coming back, watch what happens. Watch the way they try to find you in others, try to recreate what they destroyed, try to fill the void with anything, anyone, just to silence the ache of what they threw away. But they won't succeed, because there is no replacing you. They will never admit it, never say the words out loud, but they will feel it every single day. And you won't feel a thing. You won't feel a thing. That's what scares them the most. Not your anger, not your absence, not even your silencino. What truly unsettles them is your indifference. Because they could handle your rage. They could twist it, make it into something dramatic, a sign that you still care, that they still matter. They could handle your sorrow too, because sadness means you still feel their loss, still ache for them in some way. But indifference is the death of them. Indifference means you don't look back. Indifference means they no longer exist in your world, not in any way that matters. And that is something they cannot stomach. They will try, in their own pathetic way, to insert themselves into your life again. Maybe it will be subtle, a stray message, a half-hearted apology, a sudden interest in the things that make you happy now. Maybe it will be louder, more desperate drunken calls at midnight, mutual friends suddenly acting as their messengers, rumors and lies spun to bait you into reacting. 'Cause that's the only thing they want, a reaction. Any reaction. Doesn't matter if it's anger or pain or longing, as long as it means you're still looking in their direction. But you won't, because you know better now. You know that people like them don't change. Not really. They just adapt. They become better manipulators, better liars, better at disguising their self-serving nature in something that looks like love. They don't come back because they miss you. They come back because they miss control. They miss the version of you that still saw them as something worth saving. But that version of you is dead, and they are nothing but ghosts knocking on a door that no longer exists. That's what true freedom feels like, doesn't it? Not some grand victorious moment, not some cinematic showdown where you finally tell them off in a way that haunts them forever. No, real freedom is quiet. It's waking up and realizing you haven't thought about them in weeks. It's hearing their name and feeling nothing. It's understanding deep in your bones that they no longer have a say in your life, your happiness, your worth. And yet, even as you move forward, as you build something new, there will be moments, small ones, fleeting ones, where the past tugs at you. A song, a familiar street, a passing scent that brings back a memory you weren't expecting. And for a second, just a second, you'll feel it again. The echo of what once was. The reminder of how much you gave, how much you lost. And then you'll let it go. Just like that. No mourning, no second guessing. Just a quiet acknowledgement of what was, before you turn your attention back to what is. Because that's what growth is. Not pretending the past didn't happen, not forcing yourself to forget, but allowing yourself to exist beyond it. To be something more than the sum of your scars. To be someone they could never touch, never break, never own again. That's what they don't understand. That's what they never will. To them, power is control. Power is keeping someone tethered to them, dependent on their approval, their attention, their presence. But real power is knowing you don't need them, knowing you never did. And that is the one thing they'll never be able to take from you. So let them drown in their own regrets, their own shallow existence. Let them search for someone else to feed off, to mold, to control. You are already gone. You have already won. And when they finally realize that, when the weight of it settles in, that's when the real punishment begins.